Hello, hello. So you will see I'm in a different location this evening because I'm away dog sitting. But in this episode, we are going to be looking at something that everyone faces at some point in their life, and that is problems. But instead of stressing out and getting stuck, we're going to be looking at how to tackle those problems head on. So, for those that don't know me, I'm Claire. I'm a multi business owner and founder of the Good Vibes Collective. I've been in network marketing and community and team building for 20 years. And if you follow me on social media, you will know that I'm also into healthy vibes, beauty and wellness. And I also have a bit of an obsession with doggos. So you may hear them mentioned a few times in this episode, and you may hear them in the background as well, because the location I'm at the moment is I'm on a dog sit. And he doesn't like me talking because he thinks that he's missing out on something. So if you do hear him, then that's what's going on there. So, definition of a problem is the official definition that I got was a matter or situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with or overcome. At its core, a problem is a gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. It's that feeling of something's not quite working or it's not how it's supposed to be. Sometimes it's an obvious thing, like your phone screen's cracked. Sometimes it's less clear, so it could be feeling stuck in a rut or noticing tension in a relationship. Problems aren't always a disaster, though. They're just a signal that there's a challenge to overcome, that there's a decision to make, or that there's a change to create. And when you look at it that way, problems are less about doom and gloom, but they're more about opportunities to figure things out and to grow. And when most people hear the phrase problem solving, they instantly think of fixing something that's broken. So the sink's leaking, grab some tools, or in my case, probably call somebody to help me out. Or the Wi-Fi is down, so turn it off and turn it back on again. Sometimes problem solving is that straightforward, but when we really break it down, problem solving is more about, it's more than patching things up. It's about taking challenges, whether they are big or small, and finding a way through them. This matters in everywhere, in everyday life. It's the difference between staying calm if the car won't start versus going into a huge panic. In business, strong problem solving can help to adapt when something doesn't go to plan, which does happen a lot. And in relationships, problem solving is the thing that keeps everything together. So it could be deciding whose turn it is to do the washing up. It could be working through something deeper. Knowing how to approach a problem makes life so much smoother. So this is an image that you will have seen many times if you've caught up on my previous episodes. And I looked at the psychology of problem solving, and what's happening in the brain shapes the way that we handle challenges. So a problem pops up and your prefrontal cortex steps in. So this is your planning section of your brain, weighing up options, logical decisions, your calm, rational voice that says, okay, let's look at this step by step. But your amygdala is your built-in alarm system. And that senses threat, even if it's something, if it's a stressful email or a difficult conversation that you've got to have. And it can trigger that fight, flight, or freeze response. Your heart could be racing, feeling on edge. So your amygdala sometimes hijacks the process that the prefrontal cortex is trying to go through. It's why we'll often notice a bit of a tug of war between logical problem solving and emotional problem solving. So at logical problem solving, we'll pause, we'll assess the situation, make decisions based on evidence. Emotional stress or feelings can drive our choices. So snapping at somebody instead of calmly discussing an issue, or avoiding a problem because it feels overwhelming. It's all part of being human, but learning to notice which one is steering the ship can really make a huge difference. So, not all problems are created equal. The way we approach them depends on the type of problem that we're facing. So, the first one there, straight line, A to B, this is a well-structured problem versus an ill-structured problem, which is the squiggly line one. So the well-structured one is nice, neat, it's clear, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's like a puzzle. The pieces are all there, you just need to put it together. So an example of this would be a flat tire. You know what the problem is, you know what you need to do to fix it, the outcome for that is predictable. Ill-structured problems are a bit more messy. They don't have a single right answer. They often involve people, emotions, multiple moving parts. Think about trying to decide to change careers or how to improve communication in your relationship or your family. There's no one size fits all. There's no definite solution for that. So the path forward can be a little bit messy. We can also think about problems in terms of simple, complicated, and complex. Simple problems are easy wins. They've got a clear cause, a clear fix. It's like a blown light bulb. You change it, problem solved, or following a recipe, you follow those steps, it's done. Complicated problems, these often take more steps or often more expertise as well. There is a right answer, but it might take a little bit of time or effort to get there. So it could be fixing a car engine or building a piece of IKEA furniture with those tiny little Allen keys that really annoy you, or sending a rocket to the moon. There are steps, but you might need a little bit more knowledge to get there. Then we've got complex problems. Complex problems, there are no single correct solution to. They're influenced by lots of different factors, usually people and emotions. It could be parenting, so raising a child, managing a relationship, leading a team at work. These things all fall into complex problems. What works one day for a complex problem might not work the next. So these problems often require more creativity, more patience, and more adaptability as well. And then we also need to consider whether problems are external or internal. So an external problem is a problem that life throws at us from the outside. So your train's cancelled or your Wi-Fi's dropped in the middle of a Zoom. The dog has rolled in something questionable just as you're about to go out the door. It's annoying, but it's not about you. It just happened. Your internal problems are inside your head. So it's your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs that you add on top of a situation. So an example here is you spilled coffee on your shirt just before a meeting, hence the picture. That's an external problem. Your internal problems happen when you start thinking, oh, God, I look a mess now. Everybody's going to judge me. Typical. I can't get anything right. So the truth is that usually your internal reaction is what makes the external problem feel 10 times bigger. Your train might be cancelled. It's frustrating. But if you add in that self-talk of I'm always late, I'm letting everybody down, that stress gets higher than it needs to be. But the good news is you can't control the external stuff. Life happens. But you can learn to shift the way that you handle the internal stuff. And often that can make all the difference in how heavy a problem actually feels. So, we all tend to have certain styles when dealing with challenges, and recognizing your style can be a bit of a game changer. So, a few different problem solving styles. First up, we've got the quick fixer. Quick fixer leaps into action the moment a problem appears. So something's broken, right, let's fix it now. The great thing about that is things that get happening quickly and start moving quickly. But the downside to that can be that you can sometimes dive in before understanding the situation and more problems could happen later on. The next one we've got is an overthinker. An overthinker analyzes every angle, weighs up every option, sometimes gets stuck in analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis, yes, quite right. They want a perfect solution. And it's great for complicated problems, but it can mean that a problem drags on longer than it needed to. Another type of problem solver is the avoider. So the avoid, we've all done it at some point. We've pretended that a problem didn't exist. We hoped it'd sort itself out, put it off until later. Sometimes it works for tiny little problems that do fix themselves, but anything bigger, that can often make it worse. Then we've got the creative thinker. These are the people that think outside the box, something that you might not have thought of. And often the best solutions come from those people. The risk is that not every problem needs a reinvention of the wheel. So practical steps can often get overlooked by a creative thinker. And lastly, we've got a collaborator. Collaborators thrive on teamwork, talking things through, gathering opinions, sharing the load. They're great at seeing perspectives that they might miss on their own. But the challenge is if you rely too much on others, you might struggle to make a decision on your own without any input. Now, the truth is here, we're not one type usually. We're a mix of different personalities. And sometimes our problem-solving style can change depending on the situation. But the key is knowing your natural tendency. If you spot it, you can balance it out. If you know that you're an overthinker, you might challenge yourself just to make a decision and act on it. If you're a quick fixer, you might practice pausing for a few minutes before you jump in with the solution. Recognizing your style isn't about labeling yourself. It's about giving yourself more tools to solve problems like a pro. So I'm going to give you a few quick scenarios and see which one sounds most like you. So scenario 1, something breaks at home. So we're going to say that the Wi-Fi has gone down, for example. I'm going to give you some different options. So you instantly start unplugging and restarting everything? That's the quick fixer. Do you pull up 10 different Google tabs trying to research every possible reason it could be down? That's the overthinker. Do you switch to mobile data and think to deal with it later? That's the avoider. Do you start imagining some workaround like setting up hotspot systems? That's the creative thinker. And do you immediately text a friend or family member and ask what they would do? That's the collaborator. So scenario 2, you've got a big decision to make. It could be whether to take on a new job or promotion. So do you say yes quickly and figure it out as you go? That's the quick fixer. Do you make a spreadsheet of the pros and cons, research the company, call people for advice? That's a mix of the overthinker and the collaborator. Do you put off making the decision for as long as possible? That's the avoider. Or do you start brainstorming completely new career paths while you're at it? That's the creative thinker. So you might recognise yourself in at least one of those. And some of you might be thinking, oh no, I'm the avoider, or oh, 100% me, I'm an overthinker. There's no right or wrong. Each style has got strengths and each has got challenges. The real power comes from knowing what your style is, because once you do, you can balance it out when you need to. If problem solving is always straightforward, then none of us would struggle. It is tricky because there's some common barriers that can get in the way. And the first big one is stress and overwhelm. So remember that amygdala that I talked about earlier? The stress kicks in and it can hijack your brain. Suddenly your fight, flight and freeze mode takes over. Instead of calmly thinking through a problem, you might lash out, you might avoid, you might feel completely stuck. It's like trying to do a jigsaw with somebody blasting an air horn right next to you. You won't be able to think straight. So that stress and overwhelm can really impact your problem solving skills. And another barrier is a fixed mindset. We've spoke about this in previous episodes. With a fixed mindset, you would believe that the problem is impossible or you're just not good at solving it. Thoughts like, that can't be fixed, or I'm hopeless with stuff like this. It can shut your brain down before you've even had a chance to try. But a growth mindset would think, okay, this might be a bit tough, but let's see what I can figure out. Then we've got the opposite problem, which is jumping to solutions too quickly. without actually looking at and analysing what's going on at all. We've all done it. We've tried to fix an issue without looking for the cause. It's like putting a plaster on a leaking pipe. It might work for a few minutes, but the water's going to burst through eventually. The truth is that barriers like stress, fixed mindsets, and rushing are all normal, and we all fall into them. But once we know they're there, we can start catching yourself and asking, hang on, am I letting this barrier get in the way of solving the real problem? So when it comes to problem solving, most of us jump into the fix it mode and want to find the answer quickly, patch the hole, move on. The truth is, effective problem solving isn't just about speed, it's about structure. That's where some of the frameworks come in. Frameworks are like maps. They don't solve the problem for you, but they give you a path to follow so you don't get lost. It helps slow us down, helps us look at the bigger picture, and avoids rushing into solutions that only fix the surface problem. It takes the guesswork out of problem solving. And when things feel messy, having a structure to follow can actually be a bit of a lifesaver. There's lots and lots and lots of frameworks out there, but I'm going to share a couple of powerful ones with you that work in everyday life, in business and personal situations too. So the first one is the 5 whys. It's the simplest yet probably one of the most powerful problem-solving tools. Our brains are wired to stop at the first answer because it's easy, it's a quick fix. But this pushes us past that straight forward. The problem shows up. Don't accept the first explanation that comes to mind. So instead, ask why. Then take that answer and ask why again. Keep going, and usually after around 5 times, we'll uncover the real root of the issue. Most of the times, the problem we see is actually a symptom on the surface. If we try to fix that symptom, we might make it a little bit short term, but the issue is likely to come back. By asking why repeatedly, we peel back those layers and we get to the heart of exactly what's going on. So an example, an everyday example, your dog keeps barking at night. Why? Because he's restless. Well, why is he restless? Because he's not tired enough. Well, why is he not tired enough? Because he didn't get enough exercise during the day. Well, why didn't he get enough exercise during the day? Because his walk was shorter than usual. Why was the walk shorter? Because I was running late after work. So now, instead of treating the barking as a problem, you can realise that the root issue is routine. And the real solution isn't to stop the dog from barking, it's about making sure he gets enough activity earlier in the day. This framework helps you move from reaction to prevention. So you're not treating a symptom, you're fixing a cause. It's a great way to cut through excuses or surface level answers. Whether you're working on a personal challenge, something at work, or helping a friend try and figure out what's bothering them, you don't have to be strict about the 5 though. Sometimes 3 is enough. Sometimes it might need 6 or 7. The point of this is to dig deeper until you hit that moment where you realise what the real issue actually is. Another useful framework is the ideal model. This one's simple and practical, easy to remember as well. So ideal down the side. So we've got identify the problem, what exactly is going wrong, and be specific. Define the context. What's the bigger picture? Who's involved? What limits are at play? And this helps you see a problem in its proper setting instead of just in isolation. E is for explore. So explore possible strategies. Don't settle for the first idea that comes to mind, but brainstorm different ways you can tackle it, even the ones that might feel a little bit out of the box. A is for act on the best one. Choose the option that makes the most sense and put it into practice. And L is for look back and learn. Once you've tried it, take a step back. Did it work? Did it only partly work? What can you learn from it? What can you improve next time? The strength of this is it's not a linear model. You don't just do it once. You can go through it again. Identify what went right, what went wrong, and go through it again. So imagine you are struggling to stick to a healthy habit. So it could be drinking enough water. So identify the problem. I'm not drinking enough water. Define the context. Oh, I'll get busy at work and I forget. Explore some strategies. So you could set some phone reminders. You could keep a water bottle on your desk. You could track your intake in an app. Act by taking a water bottle to work and putting it on your desk. Look back after a week, realise that it worked a bit, but the reminders might make it even better. So you can tweak it and then repeat the cycle. So it gives you structure, but it also gives you flexibility too. It keeps you moving forward, even when the solution isn't perfect on the first try. Another tool is the fishbone diagram, Ishikawa diagram. So you don't need to be an artist to do this. It's literally that fish-shaped skeleton. So the head of the fish is the problem, and then the bones that branch off, they are categories of possible causes. So common ones are people, processes, equipment, and environment. So instead of just saying we've got a problem, let's fix it, you can map out different areas that might be contributing to that problem. So the example here is slow service. It's a cafe. They're struggling with wait times. The customers are struggling with wait times. So the head of the fish side is slow service. Then you go down the bones. You've got people. It might be the staff aren't fully trained yet. The processes, the system for taking orders might be a bit clunky. The equipment, the coffee machine could be terrible and keep breaking. The environment, it might be the layout of the cafe making it awkward to move. When we see it laid out visually, the problem feels less overwhelming. And you can spot where the bottlenecks are. And this is really powerful in team settings as well, because everybody can chip in ideas and you can end up with a fully shared picture of what's going on. And it takes something vague, such as slow service, and helps pinpoint that it's actually a training issue or a process issue or something physical like the layout of the space. And once you know that, the solutions can be much more targeted. Instead of just telling your staff to hurry up, you're actually solving the real issues. Sometimes the best ways to tackle a problem is to get all of the ideas out of your head and onto paper. So this is where brainstorming and mind mapping come in. Brainstorming is really simple, but it's powerful. And the key here is not to censor yourself. Too often we'll filter what ideas we've got before we write them on the page, because we'll think, well, that won't work, or that's silly, I can't do that. But the rule is quantity first, quality later. So throw them all down on that page, no matter how out there they are, no matter how silly they are, because sometimes the silly ideas are the ones that spark the best solutions. Then we've got mind mapping, and mind mapping is great if you're a visual thinker. It's similar to brainstorming, but you start with the problem in the middle of the page. You draw your branches related to the different ideas, and you can split it off into smaller branches with more detail. So the problem could be, I don't have enough time. Your mind map might go into work, home, personal habits. From work, you might branch out into delegating tasks or using better resources. From personal habits, it might be cutting out some scrolling on your phone or batch cooking some meals. And before you know it, you've got a whole map of options, and you can see connections between things that you might not have noticed before. The beauty of brainstorming and mind mapping is that they help you to break free from the same thought patterns that you've always gone through. They get you a little bit unstuck and give you a bigger pool of ideas that you can choose from. Once everything's down on paper, then you can step back, review it, and pick the solutions that actually make sense. So we're going to have a little quick look at some practical tools to sharpen some problem-solving skills. It's the kind of things that you can put into action straight away, whether that's in work, home, or dealing with everyday frustrations. So the first one is to ask better questions. So instead of jumping straight into how do I fix this, start with what's really going on here. It sounds simple, but often the problem that you see, as I've said, is at the surface. And so here's an example. If a team keeps missing deadlines, the quick question is, how do we meet the deadline? The better question is, why are we missing the deadlines in the first place? Is it workload? Is it unclear instructions? Is it tools and equipment that don't work properly? Better questions dig deeper and stop you from just treating the system. And as Albert Einstein has said there, if he had an hour to solve a problem and his life depended on it, he would use the first 55 minutes to determine the proper questions to ask. Second tool is to reframe problems, shifting how you see a challenge. So instead of thinking, this is a nightmare, try looking at it as an opportunity. So an example here is sales are down. Instead of panicking, reframe it as a chance to explore some new strategies, connect to different customers, refresh your approach. Your problem hasn't magically gone away, but by shifting your mindset, you're more likely to spot some creative solutions. Another really practical one is using a good old-fashioned pros and cons list. It is surprisingly effective, especially when your head is spinning with far too many options. Suddenly, having it all written down makes something that felt overwhelming become clearer, and you can see it laid out logically. Then we've got the power of seeking outside perspective and collaboration. Sometimes we are too close to a problem to see it clearly. Talking it through with somebody can open up ideas that you'd never even consider yourself. It doesn't have to be an expert that you're talking to, it's just a fresh pair of eyes. Collaboration works especially well for messy or complex problems because multiple perspectives are really valuable there. And finally, one of the most underrated tools is stress regulation. When stress is high, our brain is in survival mode. It's not in problem solving mode. So a few simple things that you can do is take a few deep breaths, a walk, journaling. It will calm your system down. Even 5 minutes stepping away from something can be a difference between reacting emotionally or responding with clarity. There's tons of times that I, and probably you, have solved something by walking away for 5 minutes and coming back and letting your brain reset. So these tools that I've shared aren't complicated, but they are powerful. By asking better questions, reframing challenges, organising your options, and leaning on others and managing your stress, you can give yourself the best chance of finding solutions that will actually work. So we've covered a lot tonight. What problems are, how our brains approach them, the different types of problems and different types of problem solvers, the barriers that trip us up, and of course, some frameworks and tools to make life that little bit easier. But the thing I want you to remember is that problems aren't the enemy. It's a normal part of life. It's not a roadblock that means you've failed. It's more like a signpost posting you towards something new. Sometimes it might point you towards growth. It might be change. It might be creativity that you didn't even know you had. You don't have to solve problems perfectly to solve them well. It's not about having all the answers right away. It's about staying curious, staying flexible and willing to try. It's not just about solving a problem, it's about building a skill and the confidence that says, whatever comes my way, I've got this. Problems will keep showing up. That's life. But you've got the tools now to face them like a pro. So great problem solvers aren't born, they're made, one challenge at a time. And that's great news because it means that every challenge you face is your chance to practice, to build the skill, to get a little stronger for next time. So instead of dreading the next problem that pops up, see it as a training ground. It's proof that you're becoming a pro. So next week, we are looking at the power of habits, small things that we do every day that add up to big results, whether that's health, happiness, and even our success. We're going to look at why habits are so powerful, why they're sometimes hard to build or hard to break, and some practical and realistic ways that you can start shaping routines that actually stick. It's not about overhauling your life overnight. It's about little consistent actions that make everything feel that little bit easier. It could be feeling more energized. It could be getting organized. It could be creating a bit more balance in your life or in your day. The right habits can really make a huge difference. So same time again next week, Wednesday the 3rd of September, 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. And you can, if you can't make it live, you can always catch up later on YouTube. As always, any questions, you have my email address, my Facebook profile, and my Facebook page too. If you haven't already, then head over to my website and download your free ebook, Mastering Your Mindset and Unlocking Your Confidence. And as always, catch up on my YouTube channel. Drop me a like and comments if you haven't already. And the last thing to say is thank you so much for joining me. Hope it's been useful, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.